Hey YouTubers. So I'm at a truck stop here and on my way to Aurelia, and the reason I'm going up to Aurelia is to get this fixed. This is the prop off my boat, and as you can see I hit a rock and it's bent, and that's no good anymore. So this has to be fixed, and it's going to be kind of costly, $434. Plus I got to get this thing, I got to get this fixed. As you can see in there, there's a thing called a sleeve. There's a thing called a sleeve in there, and that's spun out when I hit the prop. It's designed, that's spun out when I hit the prop, and it's designed to do that. So it's got to be fixed. That's $113. So pretty costly repair, but that's the way it goes. This is a stainless steel prop. It's an aftermarket prop. It's not the prop that came with the boat. And I'm going to start driving, and I'm going to. This is instructional video. Basically, for anybody that's new to boating, a little thing on props that you might want to you might learn. Just remember, this is, I'm going to mention this again later on. This part here, this is called the hub, and you might see in there where there's a bit remainder. Let's see if I can see from the other side here. Yeah, there it is. That's the part that broke this thing here. Anyway, so they're going to replace that, and I'll talk about that. That's called a sleeve, and I'll talk about that on the way. And this is a, like I said, this is a stainless steel prop. This is the part that splines onto the drive shaft of your, so those, see that spline, the drive shaft goes inside that. So, and that splines to the drive shaft of the boat, turns this, which then through the sleeve, which is gone in this portion here, it's gone, it's all broken, it's gone here, through the sleeve, that turns the prop. Alright, so anyhow, that's that, and you can see, like I said, it's messed. You can't run a prop when they're bent like that. The whole dynamics of the thing is messed up. So this is an Apollo prop. It's a stainless steel prop, like I said. It's a 14.58 by 23. It's an aftermarket. It was on the boat when I bought the boat, and I want to just put it right back on the boat. And there's reasons for why I'm getting this repaired as opposed to buying a new prop. All right. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about, this is, so if you're new to boating, you probably don't know anything about props, which I didn't know anything about props. I didn't know there was this, I didn't know there's two types of props. There's actually three types of props. There are aluminum props, there's stainless steel props, and then there's bronze props. And the bronze props aren't really applicable to a lot of boats. I think they're used more on strictly inboard boats, which have just a drive shaft comes through the bottom of the boat, and they're used, I think, on bigger boats and stuff. So they're not really that common, I don't believe. But anyway, they're not. If you're to buy a normal boat, if you buy just like a bow rider or something, and you know, a lake boat or whatever, you're either going to have, most likely going to have an aluminum prop on there, and then you can get yourself a stainless steel prop on there. So bronze props don't really come into it. So talking about aluminum props and stainless steel props, that's what we're going to talk about. All right, so let me explain a couple of things. First of all, I live in Toronto. We have the place up in Quebec, but why am I going to Aurelia, which is like 2 hours from Toronto, or an hour and 45 from Toronto, to get my prop fixed? Well, because I went online to see if there was any places in Toronto, and I couldn't find anything. I found one that said a prop repair, but it was just like a yellow page number, didn't look too whatever. This place in Aurelia popped up right away. Big website, like, you know, explained it all and everything. And then the only other place that popped up looking for property, and you look for prop repair, was the place up in Kawarthas, which is in Peterborough area. So that's too far for me. And this is, I took a day off work to do this. I got other stuff to do today, but I'm going to bring the prop up, drop it off. They're not open on the weekends, unfortunately. Drop it off, and then I'll pick it up on my way up place up north in a later date. So that's why I'm going to Aurelia to do this. So why do I have a stainless steel prop, and why do I want to get it repaired as opposed to buying a new one? Well, a new stainless steel prop is very, very expensive. They can be $1,000. All right, so that's the first thing. I can get this repaired for $434. And according to the website, it's a complete repair. The prop should be kind of like new when I get it out. They do everything they have to do to a prop to make it work properly. And so I'll get it repaired. And $434. I do have to get the hub. As I mentioned, the hub has to be put into it. That's $113, and then there's tax on top of all of that. So all in with the tax, it's going to be like over $600 plus, $640 or something like that. But as opposed to a new prop, which could be $800 or $900, $700, $800, $900 depending. I've seen different prices there. Then also the hub, you have to order the hub kit, kit, and there's various hub kits that go in, and you got to order the right one. This place here will order the right kit because they want, you know, they know the engine power of my boat, the horsepower, and all that sort of stuff. So they're going to do it all. I put this prop right back on the boat. Like I mentioned before, there's two types of props. I'll show you, but aluminum and stainless steel are probably the most common if you have a regular old lake boat. And so what's the difference between aluminum and stainless steel? Well, first of all, aluminum are a lot cheaper. They're a cheaper prop, and I think they probably by far are way more common. I think generally you buy a boat, it's going to come with an aluminum prop. Stainless steel obviously are more expensive. They're probably more of an aftermarket thing that you put on your boat. But the difference, the reason people will put stainless steel on their boat is for performance issues. Generally, aluminum being a softer metal. Now, this is from what I understand, and I think it's fairly accurate. Generally, aluminum being a softer metal is has a give, has some flex to it, and stainless steel has a lot. It's a lot more rigid, so that when you put the power to the boat, and the prop is then turning in the water and propelling the boat forward, stainless steel props have more of a bite, if you will, in the water, and they give you a little bit more of a push, and so they're higher performance. Generally, if you have a higher performance boat, you're going to put a stainless steel. Maybe high performance boats come with stainless steel props, I'm not sure, but generally if you're into more performance and speed and get up and go, you're going to go with a stainless steel prop. If you're more just general boating, yeah, an aluminum prop is adequate for that. And like I said, the difference being in the flexibility, the aluminum being softer, has a little bit more flex, as far as I believe, and that's the difference. And then the stainless steel is will be a heavier prop, and it'll be a much stronger prop, and it'll give you more bite in the water when you put the power to it. Oh, here's another thing that's probably, if you're new to boating, you probably don't know about this. I didn't. Props are so the engine turns, which then turns a drive shaft, which then turns your prop. And there's generally no give in that. So as the engine, if the engine is on and in gear turning, that drive shaft is going to keep on turning. So if you hit something with hit a rock or something with your prop, then the prop will obviously stop turning because it's up against a rock momentarily, but your drive shaft will not stop turning. That's going to keep turning, and you could possibly break your drive shaft. Never mind the damage you're doing to your prop, you'll probably break your drive shaft. So they design the hub, like I showed you, that I mentioned that hub thing. They design that with a plastic type sleeve between the part that is splined, part of the prop that is splined to your drive shaft, and the prop itself. And the idea is that when you hit something, because if you go boating, you're probably going to hit something at some point in time. When you hit something and the prop stops turning, like when it becomes up against a rock, that momentary stop or whatever, the drive shaft will continue to turn. It turns that spline part, but that turns against the sleeve, which has now stopped, and the sleeve busts out. And once the sleeve busts out, the drive shaft can continue turning, but the prop won't turn. So now you have no propulsion. You can have very minimal propulsion, but generally you have no propulsion at this point in time. You accelerate the boat, and like you normally would do when you want to move faster through the water, and nothing happens because the engine is turning, the drive shaft's turning, but the prop isn't turning because the part that was turning the prop is now busted out, and you're sitting there like a dead in the water essentially. And this Besner's guy, look at the wheels in the back of this truck, man. They are just all over the place. Like, this guy, like, he's just hoofing along. That's fine. Look at that wheel, man. That wheel is just wobbling like crazy on that truck. I'd be nervous about that. I looked out and saw that in my mirror. I went behind him here. Anyway, I digress. So that's hub thing, and that's like that happened to me when I hit the rock. I spun you spun the hub. So if you're new to boat and you go out and you hit a rock and you're all of a sudden you can't go forward, don't freak. Don't be too nervous. You probably haven't broken your drive shaft, because that can be very expensive to repair. You've probably simply spun the hub. It's a matter of getting the prop off. And you could hit sand too and not do much damage to the prop at all. Like, hit sand and not do much damage, and the prop will be, and you'll be fine. And all you need to do is get the hub replaced, which, like I said, in this case, it's going to cost me $113. So that's the whole idea. That's a spun hub on a prop. You'll hear that term. So that's just so you know, if you are absolutely new to boating. Things I've learned. One last thing I want to mention is the reason why I've opted to just repair the prop. Well, first of all, I like the idea of having a stainless steel prop on my boat. I mean, I don't drive it very, very hard, but that's the prop that was on there. I bought it off a boat guy up there, and he had that prop on there. He's the boat mechanic there. It was his boat at one point in time. And so he put that prop on there, and if it's good for him, it's good for me, type of deal. A lot of respect for this guy and what he knows about boats. So I just got to put that prop back on. The second thing is I'd have to order, I could buy a new aluminum prop for almost as much as I'm paying to repair this one, but then I have an aluminum prop, and also I looked it up, and the dimensions aren't quite right. Like, you look up aluminum props, I took the total dimensions of this prop, and they're not quite there, right? And so I'm putting a slightly different dimensional prop back on there, and I don't know enough about props am I putting the right prop on? I don't know. Am I ordering the right prop? And then you have to order the hub kit, and there's several different hub kits, and you have to get that right too. And so will I end up ordering all the right stuff and then will it work for my boat? I don't know. This way, I just take it into these people. They're going to order. They've already talked about it. You need to have your engine horsepower, what type of engine you have, and all this sort of stuff. And they order the right hubkit for you. I've been emailing them. They're going to order the right hubkit, and also I'm putting the prop that was on the boat right back on the boat. So it's the prop that's been working on the boat. So that's three things. First, I want the stainless steel prop back on there. This is definitely the cheapest option to put a stainless steel prop back on there. Secondly, I don't know enough about props to order to source out a replacement aluminum prop, because like I said, when you look it up, the dimensions, they're not exactly right. So and then the third thing is getting the right hubkit, you know what I mean? So that's a problem too, and that's the reason. Those are the reasons why. Another reason too is I should have mentioned the hubkit, putting the hub back on the prop. As far as I know, the hub has to be pressed into the prop. It's quite a tight fit, so that's a thing too. I don't think it's a DIY, do-it-yourself kind of thing. Although I have seen stuff on the YouTube where they show you how to replace that hub or whatever, but then and it seems simple enough. I can't recall exactly the process, but it seemed like you could do it in your driveway if you had your boat in a trailer. But I've also seen other ones where there's a machine, like a press type machine, pressing the hub into the prop. So, and looking at it there, I'm thinking, yeah, because that hub, that sleeve is going to turn the prop through the the drive shaft's turning that metal spline piece, which is then turning this sleeve, which is then turning the prop, and I would imagine that has to be pretty darn tight to do that, and so it would have to be pressed in, I'm guessing. So that's another reason I'm taking it in and getting this done. So I dropped the propeller off, headed back down now, and turns out they didn't need the that spline part. That they called it an adapter. She says they don't need that, so I imagine they put the hub in, the hub sleeve in, and then that's that. Headed back down to TO. And another thing I wanted to talk about was the difference in aluminum. They say aluminum and stainless steel, but it doesn't. I don't know if this is correct, but I guess in some situations there's also the theory that aluminum props, being softer, will have way more give if they do hit something, so that they won't transmit that force to your drive shaft, and theory being that they're a lot less likely to damage or break your drive shaft than stainless steel props. But then they have the sleeve in there, so that kind of doesn't hold water. Unless there's aluminum props and steel props that are tied directly to the drive shaft without the sleeve, without the hub sleeve, which I guess is possible. I don't know enough about boats to say whether that's the case or not. There may be some like that, or I'm sure there probably were in back in the day. But so yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. If there's a sleeve there, that's what gives the aluminum. So that the theory being aluminum props are better because they'll give and sooner than they'll give they'll destroy themselves before they destroy your drive shaft. With the sleeves, kind of doesn't make sense, but whatever.